A small but fierce army of 300 Spartans against the Persian Athenian troop of 300,000 soldiers. Do you remember the adrenaline rush we all felt while watching the bravado of King Leonidas and his fellow Spartans in the legendary movie 300? It was indeed a zestful ride, but dare not believe it all to be true. Throughout the ages, battles have shaped history, giving rise to several fables and myths. It turns out that what we think we know about warfare might not be entirely accurate. Buckle up, mates, today we will embark on an exciting journey to the past to debunk some of the long-standing myths about ancient battle notions. But before we dive into today's video, take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to our channel. Be sure also to hit that notification bell so that you won't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. Magnificent castle sieges. When we think of warfare in the distant past, grand sieges of epic castles often come to mind. Images of armies surrounding massive stone fortresses, launching giant rocks, and raining down flaming arrows create a vivid scene. However, the reality of castle sieges is far from the quick and dramatic portrayals we often see. Successful sieges could last for months, as exemplified by the 6-month-long siege of Kenworth Castle during the Second Barons' War. The defenders held out not due to oil baths for attackers but because of the castle's structure, location, and resourcefulness. Hot oil poured on invading soldiers. It was a common myth, as oil was rare and costly, surely not worthy of defense. Useless line infantry. Moving on to line infantry, a concept often depicted in movies and museums where two armies face each other. They take turns firing muskets until one side retreats. A simple tactic, but it wasn't born out of incompetence but rather effectiveness. Soldiers in tight formations allowed for clear orders, easy regrouping, and efficient defense against cavalry charges. The logistics of pouring boiling oil through murder holes were challenging, but desperate times led to hurling hot sand, waste, and even corpses at attackers. Lethal grooves on swords. The groove down the center of many swords, known as a fuller or blood groove, is commonly misunderstood. Contrary to the belief that it facilitates bleeding in an enemy, its primary purpose is to reduce the weight of the blade. The fuller design makes the blade lighter without compromising its integrity, dispelling the myth of its connection to causing more bleeding. Unreal Amazons. Contrary to the belief that female warriors like the Amazons were purely fictional, archaeological evidence supports the existence of warrior women. Scythian women, identified as descendants of the Amazons, were buried with weapons, showcasing their combat roles. Unearthed graves reveal bow-legged skeletons, indicating proficiency in horseback riding. Brute force attacks. While charging into battle makes for captivating cinema, historical battles were often more strategic and organized than portrayed. Intelligent generals emphasized maintaining formations over chaotic charges. Tactics like the Roman phalanx demonstrated the effectiveness of disciplined soldiers working together, dispelling the notion that all battles started with Hollywood-style charges. Knights' glory. The romanticized notion of knights as honorable figures adhering strictly to chivalric codes doesn't fully capture historical reality. Knights were, above all, individuals with swords, and their conduct on the battlefield varied. The establishment of chivalric codes was a response to the lawlessness exhibited by some knights, especially during events like the Fourth Crusade's attack on Constantinople. Massive plate armor. The perception of knights in cumbersome plate armor, requiring cranes to mount their horses, is a persistent myth. Contrary to this belief, medieval plate armor was surprisingly lightweight, typically weighing between 45 and 55 pounds. Knights exhibited remarkable flexibility thanks to tailored armor with articulated joints. The idea that knights were slow and immobile is debunked by the practicality and adaptability of their well-crafted armor. Effortless siege camps. Living in a siege camp outside a city was no holiday. Soldiers had tight schedules, with guard duty, building defenses, siege works, patrols, and foraging, leaving little free time. Diseases were a constant threat due to improvised sewage systems and limited fresh water. Relief armies, sorties, and unstable supply lines added to the hazards. Bidding on ethnicity of soldiers. Some of us believe that the fighting abilities and qualities of soldiers are related to their nationality and race. For example, Russians are considered better soldiers than French and Italians. The truth is, when you have equally trained, equipped, and motivated soldiers from different nations who are led by equally trained officers, you will get the same results. Bubbly life of veterinarians. The soldiers who risk life and limb are rewarded in good measure when they return to civilian life. But maybe there's only a little truth to that. Ex-combatants have been poorly treated by civil society throughout human history. Vagrancy laws were introduced in Britain to deal with the hordes of demobilized veterans after Napoleon had been defeated. Vietnam vets were largely vilified by the American public. A large proportion of homeless people in Britain today are ex-military. Guaranteed victory after walls breach. Once the castle's wall was breached, it was not always a win for the invader. In practice, they needed to get rid of the rubble. And going through the bottleneck created was also one of the many challenges for the attacker. They were exposed to more attacks from the enemies behind the walls, like fire, arrows, and stones, along with fierce struggle, usually leading to high casualties. Voila, there go, the 11 renowned and debunked misconceptions of historical warfare. It's good to go through the journey of historical incidents via cinema or fables, but remember that realities are often coated with myths. Thank you for keeping us company on this enlightening journey through the pages of the past.